You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Coming up, a fatal accident in Jasper County claims the life of the driver.
Also, the Rockford Peaches are back on with their very own TV show.
And it's going to be a hot one as we head into the week ahead, but we've got some decent weather before then. We'll break it all down in the Skywatch Weather Center.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A tractor-trailer accident in Jasper County takes the life of the driver. It happened about 1 on Tuesday afternoon when authorities responded to reports of a serious crash on Baseline Boulevard near Civil War Road. 64-year-old Mark Tidwell was driving a 1988 Freightliner pulling a lime spreader west on Baseline Boulevard when his vehicle went off the right side of the road and overturned. The driver was ejected from his vehicle. Authorities pronounced Tidwell dead at the scene. The Jasper County coroner claimed the body and next of kin was notified. City of Pittsburgh approves a $100,000 grant to support the city's homeless population. On Tuesday, city commissioners accepted the Emergency Solutions Grant from the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. It will provide funding for homeless services within the community, including rent and utility subsidies, through June of next year.
Half of it comes to rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. So that helps individuals, like I said, that are homeless or about to become homeless. We can offer them up to 3 months of rental assistance, utility deposits, security deposits, along with some help with some application fees.
City's homeless services are operating in partnership with the Wesley House. Cherokee County Clerk announces a mistake with a county election. County Clerk Rebecca Brassert discovered the thumb drives containing the voting data for District 1 County Commissioner malfunctioned. Officials say the drives improperly switched votes cast for incumbent Mira Frazier and attributed them to challenger Lance Nichols. Brassert says the drives worked properly during testing.
So what we've done is we've actually had a hand count come in, and so I actually had it done twice just to ensure the integrity of those numbers and that they were all correct.
Lockwood Elections is responsible for programming the thumb drives, and next Monday, Cherokee County will continue the certification of results. On Tuesday, Jasper County Clerk Charlie Davis spoke about last week's primary election. Davis spoke to the Joplin Kiwanis Club. It was the first public discussion about the system procedures, problems, and solutions pertaining to the August 2nd election. Turnout and future election procedurals were also discussed during the event.
One of the things we do is I come to the local Kiwanis clubs, the Rotary clubs, and I just educate people about the election process. And of course, the question and answer time that we have kind of answers questions that people have that might concern them about the election.
Kiwanis Club is the oldest club in the state of Missouri, and they raise money to help children. Local trucking business celebrates its female drivers. Joplin-based CFI unveils a new wrap on one of its trucks featuring a custom design for the company's She Drives CFI program. Officials say the program recognizes the professional excellence of its female drivers, as well as encouraging more women to choose trucking as a career.
We want to be the employer of choice for women in trucking. One of the things that we want to be the choice really for women in trucking. And the trucks draw attention to that. They're able to point out that we honor and highlight and support women in the industry.
CFI rolled out its first commemorative truck wrap in 2018. Well, they say a dog is a man's best friend, but they're really anyone's best friend, including students. The Carl Junction School District has a therapy dog program where dogs interact with students to provide comfort and reduce frustration, anxiety, and stress. On Tuesday, Arvest Bank's Arvest Foundation donated $2,000 to the school program.
They're happy to be there. These two love children, and I think it's going to be something that they enjoy doing. But I already have people looking down at my side when I walk into the school, staff members who say, "Where is Sassy?" when I walk in. So I think it's going to be a good thing.
A donation will go towards the purchase of dogs. The Carl Junction Educational Foundation donated 1,500 dogs towards the training of the dogs. Well, Saturday was National Mustard Day here in the U.S., but across the pond in France, they're facing a mustard shortage. That's right, the nation is running out of its most famous condiment. France is the world's largest consumer of mustard, and its relationship with the condiment stretches back to the Middle Ages. One reason for the shortage is climate change. Most of the seeds used to make French mustard come from Canada. The Canadian government says the prairies where mustard seed is primarily grown saw extremely dry conditions in 2021, and as a result, Canada exported 80% less seed than it did in 2020.
That's a lot less mustard in the world right now. And for me,
Oh.
though, I'm not a big fan of condiments. They have to be in the right place at the right time. So I can assure you, if you love mustard, I am not contributing to any kind of shortage because I am not buying any. I'm not using
I will
any.
buy a deal of mustard so I can have it for guests, and then I will keep it till it expires and then replace it with another one. But what are they good for? Like a long time too.
That's very
We
true.
don't go through mustard at all.
No, and mustard does last a while, so hopefully you've still got some that's
I
still
do have a
good.
question for you, Chris.
I might have an answer.
Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Unfortunately, I do not, but I feel like I should keep some in my glove box. I don't know if this temperature is right to keep Grey Poupon in my glove box, but the commercial seems to suggest that your glove box is the source for Grey Poupon with your manual crank window.
Maybe they had a mini fridge in the back. You never know.
I don't know. He was pulling it out of the glove box, if I remember right. We're going to have to look that commercial up and be sure. But, you know, always keep some Grey Poupon in your glove box. You never know when it might come in handy or when you're going to
There's
need
a lot of condiments that don't require refrigeration. That may be one. Don't quote me on that.
I don't
Make
know
sure
about
you read
Grey-
the bottle.
You know, I'll
read
be
the
honest,
bottle.
I think you're right. Because, I mean, even, you know, mustard and ketchup are
Mustard
sold
does
at
not.
room
Mustard and
temperature.
ketchup do not need to be refrigerated.
So, I mean, you know,
Kept at room temperature is just fine.
it's your preference, I suppose, on whether or not you refrigerate your condiments.
How hot is your glove box?
Well, right now, it's actually probably pretty decently temperature-wise, but it's going to get really hot a little bit later. But first, we're going to take a look at what happened on this day back in 1989. Phoenix, Arizona reported its first high below 100 degrees in 64 days. So we thought we've had it bad. 64 days of 100 degrees in Phoenix. But when they did that, 23 cities in the southeastern United States reported record lows. All of this on the Skywatch Storm Tracker is not actually happening. Some of it's actually the result of some fog that we still have across the area. Any actual precipitation is way away from us right now, and it's going to stay that way for a while. At 7th and Rangeline, the sun's coming up, and it is looking to be nice. And you can see off in the distance some of that fog. In fact, if you look up here, you can see some of it starting to burn off, starting to raise on out of there, but we do have some fog, so be careful if you're out driving this morning. 70 in Joplin with a calm breeze right now, and a lot of us starting off pretty decently. Yates Center and Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, we've been talking about them all morning because they're in the 60s still, while everybody else is sitting around 70 degrees. But again, not a bad start for August the 10th. The temperatures will warm slowly through the day. Temperatures getting into the lower 90s for afternoon highs. And then as we go tonight, we got one more really cool night tonight. Temperatures will drop back under clear skies to about 66. Some of us may even see the lower 60s as we head through the night. But then it gets warm again in the 7-day forecast starting tomorrow into Friday. Temperatures heat up, but it'll be sunny. It will be sunny, and then we start reaching the lower 100s by next week, and you can see storm chances building in on Tuesday, so we'll get another break from the heat. We'll have a few brief days where it's going to be unpleasant, then we get some storms Tuesday and Wednesday, and brings the temperatures down about 11 degrees, so not too bad overall. In fact, I'll show you real quick. See, look at what it does. Storms continue into Wednesday, and temperatures start to look pretty good, so we're in a nice little cycle of, yeah, it's going to get hot, but it's going to cool off again after that. There's a nice little repeating cycle of breaks from the 100-degree temperatures.
All right. Well, we will enjoy those breaks as we get them.
Absolutely. And today's a great day, and tonight's a great night to open the windows and give the AC a break because, as you can see, it's going to need it.
Noted. All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, up next, Pfizer starts its phase 3 trial on a Lyme disease vaccine.
And later, we'll introduce you to a new Jamie Foxx film about vampire hunting. Yeah, you're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
In Health Watch this morning, Pfizer is in its third phase of a clinical trial focused on a vaccine that could fight the tick-borne Lyme disease. The drug maker is now looking for 6,000 people over the age of 5 to be part of the study. It's partnering with French biotech company Valneva. Those who participate will either get 3 doses of VLA15 and a booster or a placebo. If the trial produces positive results, Pfizer says it may seek approval from the Food and Drug Administration and the European Medicines Agency within the next 3 years. This is the only Lyme vaccine currently in the stage of development. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says more than 400,000 Americans need treatment for Lyme disease each year. Climate hazards like flooding, heat waves, and drought are aggravating more than half of the diseases that infect people. That's according to a new study published in the journal Nature Climate Change. Researchers also looked at non-infectious sicknesses like asthma and allergies and found climate hazards were making more than 75% of those conditions worse. Well, a new survey finds 61% of Americans over the age of 50 who have already gotten at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine intend to get a booster shot this fall. 21% say they are somewhat likely to get a booster, while 17% say they'll skip it. The likelihood of getting a booster goes up to 68% among people 65 and older, Black adults, and those with low incomes. Salt substitutes lower the risk of heart attack, stroke, and death, and that's according to an analysis of studies from around the world. Researchers found the salt substitutes lowered blood pressure in all participants, regardless of where they live, their age, sex, health history, or weight. And a joyful reunion. A German Shepherd stolen from Baytown, Texas 4.5 years ago is reunited with her family. Turns out the dog, named Sheba, ended up in the city of Borger, Texas, more than 600 miles away. Now here's the story. Sheba somehow ended up in a shelter in Fritch, which didn't have a microchip reader. They placed her with the family who took care of her until this June when they relocated. But she ended up wandering the streets for several weeks. And an animal control officer finally found her on a sidewalk and scanned her for a microchip, which led her to her original family. Sheba was flown back to her home in Baytown, Texas on Sunday.
See, and that's why the wife has me microchipped, because I have a tendency to forget things. And this is no joke. Like, I have no short-term memory. No, I'm absolutely serious. I've got no short-term memory, and it's probably not going to be long before I forget where this station is. It's a little alarming. Some health problems from birth carrying over into my adult life, and it's making for an interesting adult life, to say the least, because it drives the wife nuts because she'll tell me something and I'll forget. Now, 10 years ago, I remember like it was yesterday.
You're confusing a lack of short-term memory with selective hearing.
No, well,
which is common among husbands. Common among husbands. Selective hearing.
Okay,
Your wife will know exactly what I mean.
I like the full shot of you right now where you are driving into the camera. It is a certain situation that applies to men. I'm telling you right now, it applies to men. And you're right, I do have some selective hearing, but some of it is just also just short-term memory loss.
Well,
it's bad.
Luckily, Chris, you've been traveling here to the TV station for several years now, so hopefully you won't forget.
I certainly hope not. Temperatures. See, now I'm already losing my train of thought too here. It's a nice day in Joplin as we start out. It is 70 degrees right now, and a lot of us starting out around the 70 degrees, lower 70s, except for our friends up north. They're still staying a little bit on the chilly side. As we go through the day, it'll warm up into the lower 90s for afternoon highs. Days will clear, as will the fog. It will get on out of here. And then tonight, pretty chilly actually. Mid-60s, lower 60s for some, and then it'll start to warm up again as we head into the weekend. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. It's action, comedy, and vampire hunting led by Jamie Foxx in the new movie Day Shift on Netflix this week. We talked with Foxx co-star Dave Franco and action expert director J.J. Perry all about the stunt-filled fun heading to the streamer. Here's Ashley Dvorkin with more.
So what's on the agenda today?
Jamie Foxx and Dave Franco star in Netflix's Day Shift, about a dad trying to provide for his daughter with his pool cleaning job a front for vampire hunting.
I said I'm not going to do the movie unless Dave Franco does a movie because he's a comedic genius. Everything that he ad-libbed ended up being in the film. So it was just great to be able to create our own world that no one's ever done.
On top of just kind of a different mythology and different rules, the action in this movie really sets it apart. Our director, J.J. Perry, he's been directing second unit for some of the biggest action movies in the past decade, like John Wick and Fast and the Furious movies.
So what is something that each of you got to do that you never did before, that was new for you?
I pulled off a guy's arm and then beat him with his own arm. That was a first for me.
Well, I fought a grandmother.
That's true.
I fought a grandmother to her death. I had to take Granny on out because Granny was 3,000 years old. In the actual fight scene, it was the machete work. I've done hand to hand, but the machete work is what was dope.
Perry even brought in contortionists.
Weaponized the contortion work and reactionized the contortion work and mixed it with reverse photography.
There were many key aspects creating the choreography.
When you have vampires, you can take reality plus 90%. Making all of the most badass fighters in my movie female was another thing I wanted.
He also held his star boot camp.
Like in the movie John Wick, we trained Keanu for 3 weeks. It's part of the way the best way to fake being a badass is just turn them into a badass.
Welcome to the Day Shift.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Now, I want to clarify something from a few minutes ago for anybody who was watching. I'm not downplaying Alzheimer's or dementia by any means. It is an honest-to-goodness fact that for me, it'll probably come pretty early in my life. There's a lot of things about my history that say that that's a very likely possibility. So, for now, I'm going to try and bring you the forecast because right now, everything's still going all right up there. Well, okay, most days. Right now, it's clear. We've got the fog burning off. That's why we're seeing these clouds. These will all clear out. The fog will get out of here, and it'll be partly cloudy through the day. 70 in Joplin right now, and as we look at temperatures across the area, we've still got upper 60s in our northern counties, so a nice cool start to the day. Well, the rest of us are starting to hang around in the 70-degree range, lower 70s. Now, as we go through the day, temperatures again will warm up nicely into the lower 90s, so it's hot, but not as hot as it could be. We're also going to have a pretty cool night, too. Lows in the mid to lower 60s with a light east breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now, on the 7-day forecast, it does start to warm up as we head into the weekend. Temperatures will be pushing the lower 100s as we start next week. And we have rain chances building in Tuesday, and those will go into Wednesday with another system that's going to give us relief from the heat and also bring us some much needed rain and temperatures back into the lower 90s to wrap up next week. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Arthur Cheney. Chief Warrant Officer Cheney served in the Army during Vietnam. He served with the 1st Cavalry Division, and during his service, he earned the Purple Heart. We thank you, today's four-state hero, Arthur Cheney.
Well, Prime Video introduces a new group of female baseball players in the TV adaptation of A League of Their Own.
Ashley Dvorkin is back again with the story.
This is something I can work with.
The legacy of the Rockford Peaches continues in the new Prime Video series A League of Their Own. Based on a true story and inspired by late Penny Marshall's hit 1992 film, the show features new characters and storylines about a group of women who played in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League during the 1940s.
Let's go!
It's such an incredible privilege. All of us, Abby, Desta, our whole cast are kind of pinching ourselves that we get to tell this story for a new generation.
We're still based in 1943, so all the realities of what it is like to be a woman and what it is like to be a Black woman in 1943 exist. We're still being very truthful and honest to those experiences.
They didn't even let me try out, Dad.
The story of Max Chapman, played by Shantae Adams, will shed a light on the many women who faced racism and were excluded from playing in the league, as it only allowed white or white-passing women to join.
We all want to see
Max be able to join the Peaches and join the team and play ball with them, but that's not authentic to the time period. And that was very important to us to be realistic. And so, you know, Max faces her own struggles of finding her own team throughout the season. And we finally get to see her do that in the last episode.
The show will also explore the romantic relationships between various players.
The 40s were a different time than they are now. It wasn't easy. They're living their dreams on the field, off the field, but there's so many limitations, and it's a scary time.
People are going to find inspiration in every single detail of the show.
This is our one shot. The Rockford Peaches return to the field when the series premieres Friday. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Of course, a great story, a great movie, and I'm sure the series here is going to be fantastic as well.
A League of Their Own is one of my favorite all-time movies, so seeing it in a TV series will be kind of neat.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how that plays out. Like you said, TV series is just a longer movie.
Yes.
So we maybe get a few more details that they couldn't cram into the movie. So.
There you go. A few more storylines. All right. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, Robin Standridge from Wildcat Glades stopping by to talk about the first ever Crawdads at the Creek event.
And we'll meet a baby who looks like Woody Harrelson.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see that. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We will be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Archery can draw a long and popular history, whether it's for hunting or sport. And right here in Missouri, on Tuesday, lawmakers recognized archery as its official state sport. Missouri has a significant connection to bow hunting and the archery industry. One of Missouri's most significant ties to archery, the compound bow. It's a show me state connection to the sport that's well documented and somewhat forgotten. Archery hunting is also a favorite pastime, with Missouri's archery season taking place in 1946 in Crawford County. Publishers Clearinghouse wants to warn people about a scam going around the area again. They say if someone calls you and claims they're from PCH, that you've won a prize, and then asks for a payment to claim a prize, do not go any further. PCH says all the prizes are free and will not require payment. So if someone tries to get money from you, it's a scam. While Missouri and Kansas just wrapped up primary voting, voters in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Vermont, and Connecticut headed to the polls yesterday for their primaries. Some of the matchups are making history. Others indicate the strong sway former President Trump still has over the Republican Party. Trinity Chavez shares the results.
Donald Trump still seems to wield significant influence over the midterm elections, as a number of candidates he backed won their primaries last night. In Wisconsin, former Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish, who had former Vice President Pence's endorsement, conceded to Trump pick Tim Michels in the Republican primary for governor. That sets him up to take on incumbent Democratic Governor Tony Evers.
This race has been about getting proper executive leadership in the governor's mansion and a great governor who served the people of Wisconsin.
But with control of the 50-50 Senate up for grabs, Wisconsin's Senate race is drawing interest. Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes won the Democratic primary and would become the state's first black senator with a win.
It's not about red or blue, left or right. It's about those who've been at the top and everybody else who's been left behind at the bottom.
He'll face incumbent Senator Ron Johnson, one of Trump's biggest supporters. History would be made in Vermont, where Becca Balint prevailed over Molly Gray in the Democratic U.S. House primary to replace Congressman Peter Welch. If Balint wins, she will become the first woman and the first openly gay person to ever represent her state in Congress. This while Minnesota Rep. Ilhan Omar barely survived a primary challenge against Don Samuels, who has questioned the incumbent's support for the Defund the Police movement. Trinity Chavez, CBS News, New York.
Yet another sign of just how much influence the former president still holds within the Republican Party. Jamie Herrera Butler conceded her race in Washington state. She was one of 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach President Trump. That means 7 have now either retired or lost their race. Local trucking business is celebrating its female drivers. On Tuesday, Joplin-based CFI unveiled a new wrap on one of its trucks featuring a custom design for the company's She Drives CFI program. Officials say the program recognizes the professional excellence of its female drivers, as well as encouraging more women to choose trucking as a career.
You have a pool of workers here, women drivers. You have a shortage of drivers, and whether they be young women drivers or they be empty nesters, you have this pool. Why are you not using this pool of drivers? So it's to encourage the women.
CFI rolled out its first commemorative truck wrap in 2018. Well, if you love pickles, then this drink is for you. Sonic's Pickle Juice Slushie is back. It's a combination of the flavor of a dill pickle paired with Sonic's classic sweet slush. The drink is available to order now through August 28th. The drink was first sold in 2018. The food chain says it decided to bring the drink back because of how many customers have requested it on social media. Not for me, but I have some friends that would love that for sure.
I did not request it either myself, but I do like pickles. I just do not like drinking pickle
I have
juice.
one friend, Cindy, who likes to drink pickle juice all the time. So
interesting. You know, and the thing is, you know, since they had it the first time and they brought it back, there is a market for it.
Yeah.
It's just not in this studio.
No, not at all. You can stick to looking up historical things for me. Thank you so much. I was reading the story earlier about the compound bow and its significance to Missouri, but I never really told you what the significance was.
Yeah.
And Chris graciously looked it up for me. The compound bow was designed by a man from Kansas City, Hollis Wilbur Allen Jr., who received a patent for it in 1969. And now archery is the state sport of Missouri, so it's very fitting.
Yeah, and I noticed too that they didn't really start mass production though until the 1970s of the compound bow. So it took him a minute to find the manufacturer that was intrigued by the idea. So
they finally hit the bullseye.
He certainly did. We're hitting the bullseye for good temperatures this morning as we're starting off in the 70s and even still in the 60s in some of our northern counties. As we go through the day, temperatures will slowly creep up into the lower 90s, so it's going to be hot, but not nearly as hot as it could be for August. Partly cloudy skies will clear out and eventually just become mostly clear skies, and they'll stay that way through the night. Temperatures dropping back into the mid to lower 60s for some of us, but otherwise quiet, cool, and calm. And as we head through the week, it starts to warm up tomorrow into Friday. It really heats up going into next week, temperatures reaching the lower 100s. And then Tuesday, we have some thunderstorm chances that should last into Wednesday and help bring these temperatures back down. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back. We've got Robin Standridge joining us this morning from Wildcat Glades here to talk about their annual water festival event coming up this weekend, plus something that's very new. I'm super excited about this. I love crawfish boils, and you've got a big one called Crawdads at the Creek.
Yes, this is our first time ever, and we're pretty excited about it. So it's pretty simple. You sign up online. It's $25 a ticket, and it goes to a good cause.
So what is all involved in the meal itself?
In the meal, you could you're going to get shrimp, you'll get crawdads, you'll have new potatoes, corn, and then one of the fun things at the end of the meal, we're going to have a dessert auction. So if you want a really good dessert, then you're going to have to pool your money at your table, or you might wind up with cookies and milk.
Okay. What kind of desserts are being made for this?
We've got everything from a really fancy German chocolate cake to some desserts from Finn's and from the Red Onion. So some really good stuff.
I understand that the desserts are all being donated by volunteers.
Yes, absolutely. All of the desserts are being donated by our volunteers, our board members. Our volunteers and our board members support us. It's really pretty cool to watch how that all comes together.
That's cool. This will be a sweet treat at the end.
Yes.
Okay, so the dinner itself for Friday, let's talk about when it starts. And you already talked about how you could, you need to get the tickets in advance.
You need to get the tickets. We need to have tickets purchased by the end of today so that we make sure we have enough food.
Yeah.
So go ahead and get on our website and order those tickets. It starts at 6:30. We'll go until about 8:30, 9 o'clock until we have to tell people to go home, because we'll be playing yard games, we'll have entertainment, just some fun things out down by the creek.
All right. And then Saturday, you have a huge event going on. This is something you guys have done in the past.
Yes.
Let's talk about the details.
Water Festival, Shoal Creek Water Festival is this Saturday. I couldn't tell you what number of years this is. We're like 13, 14, something like that. So we will have our traditional cardboard boat race where people create their own cardboard boat and they sail it. We have the Shoebox boat race for kids. And we have the Fish and Magicians back this year. That's exciting. It's a good program. We've got over 20 booths to come and talk about water quality. And we also have a super soaker station this year where you can get out, get your super soaker, and maybe soak your best friend if you're lucky. So a lot of really good things coming along. We're super excited about Missouri American Water. They're going to bring a live bald eagle. They'll have that at their booth, so you can watch that. I wanted to also encourage people to go ahead and come on out. We know it's going to be hot, but we do have a cooling station in the air conditioning so that if anybody gets overheated, they're welcome to go and sit inside the cooling station for a while.
Or you can pick and choose what events you want to go to. If you want to come earlier, you have the fishing derby. That starts around 9 o'clock, is that right?
Yes, the fishing derby is ran by the Missouri Department of Conservation, and that's at Walter Woods, but they do need to register, so call ahead of time.
Okay, so you have the fishing derby, you have a lazy river float?
Yes, we have a few inner tubes that we're just going to let people borrow, and then you get out there on the creek, and we're going to make you share. So you only have so much time to be lazy and float on the river, and then bring it back in. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're encouraging people to be ready to get wet, because you probably will get wet at the creek.
Yeah, you might want to wear your swimsuit. Bring something to dry off with for sure. And you guys always have a duck race.
Yes. And this has been a very interesting year. We've had people donate our prizes this year. The grand prize is a fisherman's kayak. So that's pretty exciting. You purchase your ducks, and I want people to know that the proceeds from the duck race actually pay for the water festival. It costs money to rent the tents and to get the entertainment there, all of those things. So the duck race actually goes back to make sure that we can continue having water festival. So buy your ducks, please. It's very important.
Now, the proceeds from the Friday night crawdads at the creek, what do those go to?
Those proceeds will go back into free programs for the community. We also take care of most of the trail there at Wildcat Park. So that goes from everything from graffiti removal to picking up garbage. You need to have grabbers, you need to have gloves. You would be surprised how expensive it is to take care of a trail. So that's what those proceeds are for. So it really is full circle. The community gives to us, and we turn around and we use that money to give right back to the community.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have a lot of fun stuff going on between the Fishing Magicians, Shoebox boat race. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so what's the difference between a shoebox boat race and a cardboard boat race?
A shoebox is actually a shoebox.
Okay.
So the little kids under 12, they create their own shoebox boat, and we take it down by the spring, and they race against each other.
Okay.
Now it's according to age division. So the first prize is $25 for the winner of the shoebox boat race. And then cardboard is a large boat made of cardboard that people actually climb into and they paddle.
All right.
So it's pretty exciting and fun. There is a Titanic award. So not the one that goes down first, but the one that goes down with the most pizzazz. That will be the winner.
Most notable sinking cardboard.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
That's fun. It'd be just fun to go out and watch.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun.
And of course, Saturday stuff is all free to attend. So
yes,
make sure you come check it out. Where can people go for more information?
Our Facebook page is the best. So go to Wildcat Glades Facebook page. And then also you can get a little bit of information on our website, wildcatglades.org.
And of course, we'll have all of this on our website later this morning as well. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, there are new indications online shoppers are finally seeing lower prices for non-essential goods like electronics, including TVs, smartphones, tablets, and cameras. Prices in the largest online spending category slid at an annual rate of 9.3% in July, according to the Adobe Digital Price Index. At the same time, online prices for groceries and pet products surged. Overall, though, online prices have fallen 1% from a year ago. A federal judge in California ruled that 3 golfers who joined Saudi-backed Live Golf will not be able to compete in the PGA Tour's postseason. The judge denied a temporary restraining order for the golfers who were among a group suspended from the PGA Tour. The judge said she didn't think the 3 faced irreparable harm because of the money they were guaranteed by joining Live. Last week, 10 golfers, including Phil Mickelson, filed an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour over the Live controversy. And Chipotle Mexican Grill will pay $20 million to current and former workers at its New York City restaurants for violating city labor laws. Mayor Eric Adams announced a settlement between the city and the California-based fast food chain. According to investigators, Chipotle's violations of the city's Fair Work Week law included failing to post work schedules 14 days in advance. Be back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at those market prices before the opening bell.
After a tweeted photo goes viral, actor Woody Harrelson finally finds his lookalike.
And it turns out she's 9 months old.
Jeannie Moose has the story of unlikely doppelgangers.
Say cheese! Actor Woody Harrelson and this baby look like they're cut from the same fromage. The baby's Irish mom, Denny Greer Mulvena, tweeted, "Okay, but how does her daughter look like Woody Harrelson? Though she typoed his last name." It's the smile they share, taken from Woody's performance in Zombieland Double Tap. The internet agreed on the resemblance. She does. Enough for your husband to be looking at you funny. Okay, so Woody's definitely not the father, but that didn't stop him from chiming in with what he titled an Ode to Cora. "You're an adorable child. Flattered to be compared. You have a wonderful smile. I just wish I had your hair."
Come here, big fella. Just gonna take a little off the top.
At least the zombie had something to take. Cora's mother was delighted to hear from Woody. "You've made our day. Can't wait to show her this when she's older. You have another fan for life." Mom says she doesn't always look like Woody Harrelson, with that typo again. It's just that when she does, she really, really does. Usually when smiling. Oh my God. Cora's mom told CNN that Woody's ode will definitely be on a birthday cake at some point. By then, she'll have even more hair. As Woody, playing his own twin, says,
Seriously, is it weird to have more hair in your nose than on your head?
Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
I can certainly relate to that lack of hair. Quick check of the forecast, 91 for highs today. It's going to be pretty pleasant, and overnight tonight getting a little chilly too, with overnight lows dropping in the mid to even lower 60s. More of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Republican lawmakers are coming out in support of former President Trump after the FBI searched his Florida estate. Two sources told CBS News investigators seized boxes and paper documents as part of an investigation into his handling of White House records after he left office. The documents are believed to contain some classified information. The White House officials say President Biden had no prior knowledge of the search. Albuquerque police arrested 51-year-old Mohamed Syed for the murders of two Muslim men and say he is the prime suspect in two other killings in the past year that had the community on edge. Officials discovered evidence that shows Syed knew the victims and said an interpersonal conflict may have led to the shootings. U.S. health officials are looking for ways to increase the supply of the monkeypox vaccine. FDA authorized a change into how the shots are given, potentially getting 5 times as many doses out of the 400,000 vials currently available. Researchers say the reduced amount is just as effective.
It's going to be hot today, but not as hot as it could be for August. The temperatures will slowly creep up under partly cloudy skies into the lower 90s, but then the August heat returns in the 7-day forecast. We start warming up tomorrow. Temperatures pushing into the lower 100s as we start next week with rain chances on Tuesday, and they'll stick around into Wednesday as we get another break from the heat like we saw earlier this week, actually just a couple of days ago, yesterday. So I'm telling you, I'm a day off here. Yesterday, we saw that break, and it's going to warm up after that break, and then we'll get another one, and it'll cool back down into the lower 90s one more time as we continue into August, but we still have to get through 3 or 4 days of 100-degree temperatures before we see that break.
Well, Little League players are showing some big sportsmanship at the World Series in Texas. Yesterday's Tulsa versus Texas East Little League Southwest Regional Championship game showed just how much heart some of these young players have.
During the game, Tulsa's batter Isaiah Jarvis took a pitch to his face, knocking off his helmet. Jarvis was able to shake off the hit and made his way to first base before noticing the opposing team's pitcher, Caden Shorten, was distraught over the bad pitch. Jarvis can be seen making his way over to Shorten and embracing him. He reportedly told the pitcher he was, quote, doing just great. Texas East went on to win the game, but Jarvis's sportsmanship won over the crowd.
No.
These things always make me feel better.
Making me get emotional right there.
Yeah, right here, right in the feels on that. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We're going to be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.